All right, guys, what is up? Welcome back to another episode here of Bass and Furious TV. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Today's an exciting video, guys. Exciting video. I'm going to try a new kind of series here. I'm going to work collab here with another content creator and another heck of an angler. So we're trying to work on some videos together where we share some fishing tips for you guys. And hopefully you find this information helpful. Share it with your friends. Like the video. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe because we got more and more of this stuff coming. But in today's video, I'm going to talk to you guys about very popular topic right now, that is fall fishing, and honestly late fall going into winter type of fishing. So I want to talk about that and provide you some fishing tips that I think will be very helpful for you for this time of year. Now I just want to preface the video by saying that I am on the East Coast here in Virginia. That is primarily where I'm fishing at. So if you're in a different part of the town, if the water is not quite where our water is, if you're on ice, you know, type of things, some of the stuff's not going to apply. So that's one of the things I say with a lot of videos. You can watch a ton of videos on YouTube about different tips and things like that. Just make sure you're watching stuff that's pertinent to like your area or like where your water's at, because you'll be out there trying some stuff that ain't going to work based on the fact that your water temps, your water clarity, what the weather's doing in your area is not going to be the same as where someone else is. So just to preface the whole video, but I'm here in Virginia on the East Coast fishing and trying to provide you guys some tips for late fall, kind of early winter fishing out here at the pond. We're actually going to talk more specifically about pond fishing today in this video. So obviously some of the stuff can pertain to a lake or river if you fish, because you guys know that's what I fish, lakes, rivers, all that kind of stuff. But today I'm trying to help do some pond fishing tips for you guys out here. So to start off, I just want to kind of get into it for kind of like a day for pond fishing. So typically what you'll find when you're pond fishing, especially in the fall or the winter, it's gonna vary so much. Like, you have a pond that you've been going to, that you've been catching them at, and that pond completely is like, you'll go there every day for like a week and you won't get a single bite, and you're like, what is going on? And then you go to then you'll go out, you know, on like the river or something like that, and you're lighting them up, fall fishing, throwing a buzz bait, throwing a chatterbait, just smashing, and you're like, what is happening? With that being said, the main thing in that, and this will kind of be our first tip to get us started here, is sometimes you just gotta pack up and go somewhere else. Okay, sometimes it's just not happening there. You can downsize, you can upside, throw a big glide bait, throw a tiny little bait. Sometimes you just gotta move. Sometimes you just gotta keep moving, especially at a pond you've been fishing, you're not getting any bites. You definitely want to make sure you cover as much of the pond as you can. If you get out there in your kayak, if you get out there in a little boat, go around, or if you just bank fish it, whatever the case may be, try to cover as much water as you can, because those fish, when you do find these fish this time of year, you will catch a bunch of them pretty quickly, and then you probably will not ever get another bite for the rest of the day, or it's going to be just the opposite. You'll fish for 6 hours and you'll get one really good bite and you won't get nothing else. It just depends, and this is more so really late fall, starting in the winter. That's kind of when that change happens. In the fall time, usually if you run into two or three, you're gonna have a phenomenal day. So if you do that and you've been doing that, congratulations to you. You guys are crushing it. If not, I'm trying to give you some tips to help you get there. So let's kind of dive in. First of all, like I said, move around, cover as much water as you can. That goes without saying for pretty much any time of year, but just want to make sure I do say it here in this video. The second thing, I kind of touched on it a little bit in the first part, is going to be your bait and your bait selection. Okay, so a lot of times if you look at what they're feeding on, sometimes this time of year, it's pretty small stuff they're feeding on. So sometimes you want to, like I said, downsize. So I bought some stuff. I bought the little tackle box here. You guys know I love my little Cascade tackle box. It's phenomenal. But you got some choices when it comes to that. And one of my favorite choices, you guys know if you follow my channel that I absolutely hate this type of bait, but it works. So this is a little Ned rig style bait. Now this is a EWG Ned rig, so it's Texas rig, so you may not get hung up or lose it as much, which is actually really good for pond fishing. Because if you get hung up on a log in a pond fishing, 9 times out of 10, that sucker's gone. So this will help you maybe hold on to some more stuff. So you got to kind of think like that. If you're pond fishing, to not lose stuff, you may got to fish a little differently than you do when you're in a boat and could just maneuver around the other side and pop it out. You got to fish a little different. But downsize with a little tiny bait, little Ned rig style bait. That's one of my go-tos for this time of year. Another one would be downsizing with a little swim bait. Little tiny little Kitech, 2.5, 3.8, something like that. Tiny little swim bait, just working it around. shaky head, stuff like that. Drop shot is going to be killer this time of year. Drop shot, shaky head, all that good stuff. All that's in my little casting tackle box. So I got it all right there. We're good. We're locked in. I even got baits if I decide to switch from bass. Sometimes you just got to switch. You just maybe go fish with scrappy. But the other one, which is an absolute staple for me this time of year, I'm throwing it 9 times out of 10 if I hit the water. If I'm on the water, if this bait will be tied on, that is a jig. This is a little tiny one. This is one I think by Untamed Tackle, but tiny little jig. Those are going to be your key. A little finesse jig, 5/16 ounce, something like that, 3/8. I mean, you can get away with ½ ounce. You can throw a football jig. You can throw quite a few things, but this is going to be definitely key. Is a jig, something you can just drag slowly on the bottom, drag slowly, and maybe hop it, drag slowly. That's going to be a key for you guys. Now, I want to kind of back up just a tad before I get too far into what I'm saying. One of the key things for pond fishing, a lot of times when you're fishing, a lot of the movement and the fish and stuff that you're seeing or able to catch has to do with water temp and water clarity. Now, water temp, one of the things I'm going to give you guys that I do, you'll come out to go fishing, looks like a nice day, it's a nice fall day, the leaves is falling, everything looks good, and you go to go fishing, you go to your favorite place, and everything looks pretty legit. You get out there, you start casting, and you got nothing, and you're like, man, what is happening? It looks like a beautiful fall day. Here's the thing. That water may be ice cold and it may just not click. For me, sometimes it doesn't click. That's why I'm trying to give you guys some real insight. Like, this is from like some, not just some surface level downsized type of stuff. I'm trying to go a little deeper for you guys. When you get there, I don't know about you, but I don't carry around a thermometer in my pocket to check the water temp when I get there, right? So what I suggest you do, and some of you guys, be like, oh, dude, come on, man, I'm trying to help somebody who may want some help, okay? If you want something to help me, because a lot of you guys know I haven't been fishing my whole life. I didn't grow up fishing. I didn't have someone teaching me all these little ins and outs of fishing, and you need to try. I didn't do all that. I pretty much learned how to fish from doing and watching videos on it, and then just getting out there and putting in the work. So I'm trying to give you some stuff that I didn't get off the bat. But if you go and you're fishing and you're just, nothing's happening, cast your bait out, bring it back, and when you bring it back, put it in your hand and just hold it with the water that just came off of it. Just put it in your hand, and you'll let that water run off that bait in your hand, and you'll feel it, and you're like, ooh, oh man, and it'll be cold, and the sun's shining, the nice little breeze going, like, you should be smashing them this type of day. Cloud, everything's looking great, and you should be smashing them, and you're wondering why. Cast it out, bring your bait back, let that water drip on your hand, and get a good, knock myself out. Get a good feel of what's going on with the, guys, I'm getting knocked around here. Get a good feel of how cold that water is by just letting the water run in your hand. And see, obviously you could just go up and put your hand in the water, that's cool. Or you can basically just dip your hand in the water, I guess, and just go up and just touch the water. I find that I like to do it with my bait. I really don't want to. Sometimes you can't just put your hand in the water because you're not that close to the water, right? Sometimes you're fishing these areas it's a little bit steeper. You don't want to just put your hand in because you might end up going. So I suggest doing it with your bait. That's just me. That way you develop a good habit. You don't try something, end up having to, get some assistance. So if you do it with your bait, let the water run, see how it feels, then get back to casting that way, because that'll let you know, like, it's good, everything's good, it feels nice and good. It's cold, and now you're like, oh, okay, let me slow down just a little bit more. Let me slow down a little bit more. Let me be a little bit more deliberate with my actions versus just fan casting all over the place, hoping for the best. That's something I will tell you guys that I think is very, very helpful when it comes to this pond and bank fishing type of thing. Just to find out your water clarity, cast your bait in there, see how far down you can see it. That'll get you your clarity, your water temp with the bait, with the water deal, and get your clarity. Then you can actually go fishing. And if you're walking around from the pond, you want to find areas that